Welcome to the CE Pro podcast. I'm Executive Editor Arlen Schweiger. We've been hearing about 5G for some time now, and it's finally upon us. So what does that mean for CE Pros and their residential and Mercil customers who've been asking about it? We've been wondering the same thing, so we checked in with Eric Mercil, Director of Sales for SureCall, a leading cell signal booster provider, to discuss the different types of 5G, the potential implications, and where signal boosters fit into the mix in this week's podcast episode. As always, be sure to subscribe to CE Pro's YouTube channel and hit that like button on our videos, or subscribe to the CE Pro podcast on Apple and Spotify and leave a review. Eric Mercil, Director of Sales at SureCall. Thank you so much for joining the CE Pro podcast today.
Oh, thanks for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity.
So Eric, for starters, there's some people who certainly are familiar with the SureCall brand, but for those who don't know about it, if you don't mind just kind of outlining for us what SureCall does and what types of solutions the company provides.
Absolutely. So I guess first and foremost, that brand story is going to be important, really, to be able to explain to any end user and why you chose to partner with SureCall. So we were founded in 2001, which we're based out of Fremont, California, and we really look at ourselves as not only the signal booster technology leader, but also the most innovative partner when you look at PassiveDAS solutions that are out there. And our portfolio really covers anything from areas on 4G, 5G signal boosters, and now even including millimeter wave, which we'll talk a bit more today. And a lot of our products, all of our products, will work for any carrier's technology and really help extend that cellular network into the buildings itself. It's been important, the evolution of SureCall, when we look at what PassiveDAS really is and how we've grown from just doing a single band solution all the way up to today's millimeter wave. There's a lot of great technology that SureCall is bringing to the marketplace.
So Eric, you mentioned DAS. For those who are unfamiliar with that technology, and you mentioned passive systems, but what is DAS and what types of DAS do people run into in the marketplace?
Yeah, great question. There's two different types of DAS that we run into on a regular basis. There would be ActiveDAS, and ActiveDAS is really good for very, very large venues. We're talking sporting arenas, we're talking convention centers, and they truly allow for the maximum amount of simultaneous users. Now, there's some drawbacks to them. They are very time consuming. You have to really work with the carriers, and they're expensive. They're anywhere between $2 to $4 a square foot. And that's typically just for a single carrier solution. So it's a very, very expensive proposition to bring. And a lot of times those smaller facilities, under 500,000 square feet, really tough to get, unless a carrier is going to pay for it, it's really tough to get an ActiveDAS approved just with the budget constraints that we're seeing out there. And that's where a PassiveDAS like SureCall comes into play. Now, again, as I mentioned, it'll work for any carrier's technologies in North America. Very, very cost effective, meaning it's anywhere between 50 to 75 cents a square foot. And a lot of times that's including your labor. So very, very fast turnkey products. And one of the other benefits that SureCall brings to the market with our signal boosters is that we are FCC and carrier approved. So we don't need any fiber backhaul, very rapidly deployed into the marketplace, and really can help extend coverage for almost any building type that's out there. And to be carrier approved, we have to make sure that our boosters have very specific technologies. Automatic gain control is a must. All of our boosters have that. Oscillation detection and prevention, so the systems don't talk and create an echo back out to the carrier network. And then that also helps us reduce the noise impact to towers and makes our system very, very linear, which means we can have a lot of simultaneous users on our boosters. So very, very easily maintained.
And what does DAS stand for? And are there any other terms that integrators need to familiarize themselves with? I guess we should probably talk about some of that too.
Yeah, of course. So DAS is a distributed antenna system. Sometimes they're referred to as a BDA or a bidirectional amplifier. And then a lot of times it's just a cell booster. So if we just get into the very intro kind of language with them. But those would be the three that we would really focus on: distributed antenna system or DAS, BDA or bidirectional amplifier, or just signal booster.
Okay, great. So, one of the things that we really wanted to dig into today was 5G in particular. Certainly, it's hard to even watch a football game or sporting event or other things on TV without seeing a a carrier commercial these days for 5G. I'm sure, uh, people have been seeing those for some time now, and they're probably asking themselves, okay, well, how is it going to impact me? And I would imagine that integrators are probably saying the same thing about their own companies and their customers. Let's start on for 5G for the residential side. What would you say is the current state of 5G coming out to the market?
Yeah, and so 5G can be confusing, right? There are a multitude of types of 5G that are available. We have nationwide 5G, we have ultra wide 5G. So let's kind of look at what 5G really is first. So there are two different types of 5G that's available in the marketplace today. One of them is just called frequency range 1, or I also call that low band. Then there's frequency range 2 or high band, or millimeter wave technology. So frequency range 1 is what we use today. It's anything below 6 gigahertz. So it's all of our LTE technology. It's a majority of our 5GE, or the nationwide 5G. And all that sub 6 gigahertz of technology is what we're used to. Now, carriers are really expanding that 5G network out faster than a lot of us ever thought they would. And they're doing it through what they call dynamic spectrum sharing. And what dynamic spectrum sharing is they're overlaying 5G on a lot of today's LTE networks. But remember, 5G is just for a data band or data usage right now. So we're going to start to see a lot faster data speeds that are out there, even with our current low band or mid band technology that we're looking at. And then we have what everybody's ranting and raving about. This is what we referred to as that frequency range 2 or millimeter wave. This is where we're seeing extremely fast data speeds, almost up to 3 gig in some places. So off of a wireless network, that's extremely fast. They're using frequencies that, I think the experts knew we're going to do this a long time ago, but anywhere between 26 gigahertz to 38 gigahertz. But there's some drawbacks to it. There's going to be a lot more equipment that's going to be needed just because of a limited range with those such of higher frequencies. So if I kind of look at just those types of technologies and where we fall into place with that, SureCall does manufacture the boosters for all the low band. And then we were recently announced one of the partners to supply, Verizon specifically, a lot of technology that's going to help us bring millimeter wave to the home or to the business. And then later down the road, we'll have in-building solutions as well.
Okay, perfect. It definitely, I know SureCall, you've been known for some really powerful cell signal booster products on the market when it comes to 4G before 5G for residential and commercial applications, just for years that you guys have been entrenched in this. So can you tell us a little bit about how cell signal boosters will work on 5G?
Yeah. So SureCall, again, very innovative organization. And about 2 years ago, we launched a product that we call the Force 8. And it was the first 5G multi-band booster that was on the marketplace. So when we look at what 5G is with all the different frequencies that are in there, and we've kind of looked at which carriers are going nationwide, where do we see a lot of potential opportunities for us to deploy these products. So the Force 8 really focuses on that 600 megahertz that T-Mobile has launched nationwide. So we have a number of products that'll fit that low band technology for a lot of our customers out there. Now, again, we will also bring in the voice, the LTE technology right along with that at the same time. So we will bridge that gap between what today's 5G offers, and then we're going to look forward and continue to innovate product for that ultra wideband technology that'll be coming down the road soon.
Okay, and in terms of some of that infrastructure, the equipment, is it something that you're really getting asked a lot of questions about by consumers, customers and dealers of the product, or dealers saying, okay, well, how is this going to impact us? What does this mean? Does everyone need to switch their phones? Things like that. What are some of the common questions that you get asked, and any misconceptions that you need to clear up when having these kind of discussions?
Yeah, so setting expectations for your customer is going to be important. Let it be in the residential application where we're seeing them most of the time. We're seeing a lot of just voice network. So people are doing their daily routine with it. They might sit down and connect their device to their Wi-Fi network at home. So 5G at home on what we do today on the low band is going to be, I don't think there's going to be too much of a difference. But as they talk more and more about 5G, and I look at the different types of technology, as you mentioned during the Super Bowl, we saw a lot of commercials around what 5G can do for us. Verizon's 5G at home solution that they're bringing to the market now is an ultra wideband router, essentially, so that they will become your internet service provider and then rebroadcast that 5G millimeter wave into their home. So right now, today, there is not an in-building millimeter wave booster, but there is something on the roadmap that we'll be able to bring into that technology to help enhance that coverage. So I guess the question we really need to answer or ask the customer is, how are we going to use our phone? And when we look at our design portal, when you can request free design services from us, these questions are all listed on there. Are we worried about data? Are we worried about voice? Or are we worried about a combination of both voice and data? And then we kind of break it out from there, and then that'll help us really provide you with the proper solution for your customer that's out there. But once we understand what technology they're really looking for, if they're just a voice customer, it's really easy for us to help you develop a solution to bring whatever that technology is, let it be a voice only or voice and data solution.
So sticking with the residential side of things, when you're talking to your residential integrators and they're saying, okay, well, we've been installing your 4G products for years now. When can, what are the opportunities there? When can we start, or when should we start installing the 5G? Does the customer have to have that service before we can go in and do it? Anything like that in terms of opportunities that you're going to see for resi on the resi side in 2022. And then let's talk about how they sell and pitch this product and demonstrate it.
Sure. So let's kind of tackle back right into the, what technologies are going to work. Remember, all of our cell phones are backwards compatible. So if there isn't a 5G network in the market today, the phones are automatically going to revert back to your 4G LTE solution. That's just how these devices are going to work for you, because 5G is not nationwide. But what will happen down the road as the customer gets another new device, because of that dynamic spectrum sharing that we've talked about, with 5G being overlaid over the 4G LTE network, our cell phones will automatically just pick the best technology for them. So there's no reason to wait until 5G is in the marketplace. Our boosters will work on almost every one of the bands that are out there for our current residential products. And then when we look at some of the commercial stuff, our Force 8, remember, brings in that lower 600 megahertz. But there are going to be some frequencies that will require a trip back to the customer's house. So when we start looking at millimeter wave, it's going to be the responsibility, just as an electrician, or the city will bring electricity to your house, the water company gets it to the house, you need those professionals to bring it into the building. And that's the way our newer ultra wideband millimeter wave technology is really going to hit the market. The carriers will get it to your house, and now it's going to be up to you to bring it into the home. And there will be solutions available for that in the very near future.
So it sounds like it'll be a very good opportunity and just another touch point for integrators, maybe to, interact and engage with existing customers and say, hey, we've got this. I'm sure you've been hearing about this technology. Here's what we can do for you, kind of thing. And then
Yes.
after that, how would they demonstrate, the potential of this product?
Yeah. So I think I'm going to go back to that last question before I get to the demonstration side in here. There is a product that, how do we keep cellular or a DAS system sticky to a customer? And you brought that one up, that it's that retouch that you can go back in and talk about millimeter wave or ultra wideband, what's available. But keeping a customer on point to make sure the service is always working was something that SureCall launched probably about 5 years ago now, maybe even longer than that. But we do have a new SureCall cloud solution that will allow you to manipulate a system remotely. So if there was a problem with the booster, you can go into the network, you can really look at it. A lot of our guys and make adjustments or even reset the booster remotely. SureCall doesn't charge anything extra for this, but if there's anybody out there that's doing any type of recurring revenue model, this is a great way to add just another level of service to that reoccurring package that you already have. So if you're in the security world, this is right up your alley. This is exactly how you guys do this on a regular basis. For those that don't, this is an opportunity to charge a nominal fee, but it'll be monthly, annually, to be able to keep that customer connected with you so they don't go off to go find somebody else. So SureCall Cloud's technology, powered by our SureCall Sentry, is a great way of doing it, just keeping people connected. So how do we demonstrate the product in a home? SureCall does have a demo kit that will give you a number of products. One it gives you is our Fusion 5X 2.0 product, which is probably one of our most popular selling residential boosters because it'll cover almost every single home just on its own. One booster, potentially up to 4 antennas. But it also comes with our SureCall signal meter, also comes with the Sentry, so you can plug in and have remote management solutions with it. And the best way of, I guess we look at how we want to do a demonstration. First, we have to make sure there's usable signal. So the SureCall signal meter is going to ensure that we have the coverage we need. And then for a very quick demo, a lot of our partners will just run the cable off their truck, set up an outdoor and donor antenna, run it through a doorway, snug the door up to it, and then turn the booster on once you have everything else connected. And it's a really quick way to show how the technology is going to work. You can turn it on, turn it off a couple times to show the benefit of the booster. That works well on the residential side.
Are they doing speed tests with those when they turn it on and off, or just kind of letting customers play around and say, hey, check your phone now, see how things look when you're, scrolling through certain services or apps or websites?
Yeah, speed test is one way of doing it. Another way is just we all look at the bars on our phone. For an integrator, bars on your phone isn't your best friend, but it is a great way just to show how fast that system, once you turn it on, increases the coverage, the power on that meter on your phone. But then you really want to have your customers make the phone calls, go to areas in a home that they weren't able to make phone calls before, just to showcase that the product does work. Again, in residential, it's quick, it's easy. Unfortunately, it's not something you technically leave behind because it's a really quick drop in, something you can roll back into your truck. So very fast demo, kind of like a quick audio demo, if you will, just to showcase what the product can do.
Sure. And I'm glad you brought up, Eric, the aspect of recurring revenue. Of course, that's something that we've been harping on at CE Pro for years, and this sounds like a very nice opportunity for that as well. For your dealers, I'm wondering also, in terms of doing sort of the talk the talk and walk the walk, have they been installing these types of systems within their own showrooms and retail establishments? If they have those, is that something where they can have customers walk in and they might be able to point out to how good the service is in their own businesses?
Yeah. If they have a showroom, that is a great best practice to be able to bring into it. We're showing our TVs, we're listening to audio all the time when the customers are coming in. If this is going to be an important part of your business, you want to show them what that technology can really bring. So having something that is a quick, easily accessible, so you can turn it on, turn it off, and just show the customer if there are constraints within their home, that it's a really quick, feasible, and affordable technology that they can bring into their residence.
Okay, and then switching over, certainly, showrooms and retail establishments would fall maybe more into the resi-mercial or commercial side of things. So we wanted to ask you about opportunities there, because certainly we have plenty of dealers who work in those types of markets. So what kind of vertical markets are good candidates for solutions like this, or what types of applications that you're seeing or have already seen with 4G that certainly would roll right into 5G solutions?
Yeah. So when we look at our market size, our number one growth category outside of residential, especially with this work from home initiative and a lot of corporations going virtual, cellular has been even more important in your home than ever before. So residential is always a key growth aspect for us. Outside of the resi side of the equation, the commercial, industrial, large warehouses are typically metal buildings or tilt wall construction that is just rejecting that cell phone signal. So it's a really large opportunity. But our number one is going to be education, K through 12, and even some higher learning. There are a lot of opportunities within that space. More importantly, there's a lot of government grants that are available that will actually help pay for this technology to bring into it. So we have seen a lot of growth in that space. Of course, hospitality and healthcare, there's always, there isn't a market that our product doesn't fit, but education, commercial, and residential are the three biggest ones that we see the growth curve in right now.
Okay, and again, what about demonstrating for those larger clients? And I think you also mentioned, for an extension of residential might be MDU properties too, where they're going to have, potentially a lot of coverage needed in places like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and those to do demonstrations, can be a little bit tricky, right? It's not something that you're just going to walk in, drop it, and say, okay, what do you think within an hour? That could be a longer process. So we do get a lot of requests for what do I do to demonstrate a product in a larger facility, whether it be an office space, maybe it's a critical area that we want to try and cover just for demonstration purposes. Now, nobody wants to work for free, and I get that, but there are some times where you have to look at your labor model and what's it going to take to rough in a system. You can't just run it through a door at this point. Now we actually have to penetrate the roof, get the antenna out there, and then temp in the product from that point on. So a lot of our partners will take an opportunity to develop that labor model where they will charge a smaller fee for labor, more of a break even, and then that would even potentially be taken off if they decide to launch the rest of the building or move forward with it. So typically it's a 30-day test period, but I promise you, once the stuff's installed and it's up and running, it's usually a lot quicker call than 30 days. It's the next week. Hey, this stuff works great. Let's deploy the entire building.
So for SureCall, I imagine that the company itself, dealers really lean on it for help with system design, best practices for installation, things like that. Where are you typically helping dealers, and what sort of advice do you provide for those types of best practices when they're doing system design and installation?
Yeah, SureCall is looking for long-time partnerships. We don't want a one and done and leave you hanging out to dry. So there's a few things we want to make sure you have. One is our training program. We do offer a level 1 and a level 2. Both are free. Level 1 is pre-recorded, and if anybody's interested, just go to the SureCall website and we can get you the link for that. So you can take that test in the class. Level 2, we hold once a month, and we really get into that design, how to optimize a system, and what a real site survey looks like. So having that base knowledge of the two different training programs will help you understand what you're looking for in a marketplace. So as long as you're able to go do a site survey, inspect the signals that are out there, because a booster is just going to boost what's available. We'll make sure we've got a proper signal strength coming in, the starting signal. From that point on, you would just go to surecall.com/designs, and there's a portal for our design side that you can actually enter all this information into. So we will be able to provide you with an IB wave design, which will have all the heat maps, so it'll show you predicted coverage, the line diagrams to show what products is connected to what, and then even more importantly, the bill of materials. So we really take the guesswork out of what you have to install. And then from that point on, all of our products have a 3-year warranty. We have less than a 1% return rate on the product. And our tech team, who's based out of San Francisco, I'm going to have to go out on a limb and just say they're the best in the industry, because they will take the time to help you optimize a system if the software isn't doing it automatically for you. So from beginning to end, we have our pre-support, our during the installation support, and then we have all of our post-support set up in the marketplace as well.
So with that portal, they're going to learn about, if they need, how extensive their coverage is going to be, because I imagine certainly with, the types of clients that our residential dealers are working with, they're going to have extensive properties, some that could go, these lakefront or rural properties that might go for acres, just beyond the home walls. And then, commercial facilities, certainly if you're talking about higher education, we've got extensive campuses. They're going to learn about, they need multiple products, and how does that work when they're doing that design?
Yeah, so the design is going to ask them a very simple set of questions. There's 11 of them for what the square footage is. So it brings in the scope of the project. How many potential users are in this building? And then, of course, the technology, is it voice, data, or a combination? Once we have all that inputted and they supply the layout of the floor plans, then we're able to, our design team really gets into it, and we'll lay out a design specific for that building.
All right, very good. Well, it certainly sounds like it's an exciting time for both the marketplace and for integrators as 5G sort of comes to fruition. I guess we're going to see it big time in 2022. So with that, Eric Mercil for SureCall, thank you so much for delving into all this stuff with CE Pro.
Oh, I appreciate the time again, and I look forward to working with you in the future.